It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. There's a reason rappers can turn any story into a hit track. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys and more than 100 offices nationwide. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, your case could be worth millions. But the truth is, a lot of people either don't file at all or get taken advantage of by insurance companies. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. If you're injured because of someone else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. No shortcuts, no lowball offers. In fact, they've secured some major verdicts in the past. For example, in Florida, they got a victim who was in a life-altering car crash, $12 million. 34 times the highest insurance offer. They got another victim in Philadelphia, $26 million. 40 times the highest insurance offer. Not all law firms are created equal. Morgan & Morgan is the biggest for a reason. They will fight for the biggest award possible and have won a lot. So if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless you win. That's right, no upfront costs. They only get paid if you get paid. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Again, if you find yourself injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Don't say I never told you nothing, man. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there this evening. In this video, we're going to be getting back into the Megan Thee Stallion versus Milagro Grrrls case taking place out in Miami, Florida. I know it's been a couple of days since I've reported on this, and due to the fact that I'm not there in Florida, it's been a little complicated keeping up with everything. The dissemination of information is basically coming at the end of days when court has subsided and let out and everybody's getting back to their respective corners. They're going live. You're getting updates here and there throughout the day, but mostly it's happening from sporadic tweets in between breaks and stuff like that. So it's tough to keep up with everything. I'm trying to field all of the information that's coming out from different sources. Trying to fact check the information coming out across different sources just to make sure that people are saying, at least at bare minimum, similar things about what they're witnessing in court. Because one thing somebody posts could be wildly different from something somebody else posts. And you might, you want to get to the bottom of like, okay, what's really going down out here? Trying to make sure that, the information is as balanced or neutral as possible, so it's a lot to get through, but I'm going to do my best to kind of analyze the last couple of days of trial. Now, day one in trial, of course, Milagro took to the stand to testify. She was the first person on the stand, and she testified for basically the better part of 2 days, right? All the reports that I saw about the first day, they say it was pretty boring. Even day two was kind of boring with Milagro because basically she was being presented with, things that she said, information that she was saying about the Tory Lanez case, and basically confirming or denying that she was being tipped off, a part of the team with Tory Lanez. Was she working with them? What is the nature of the relationship between herself, Tory Lanez's father, all of the stuff that we've been documenting and reporting on for the last year and a half leading up to this trial. We're very much aware of all of this stuff, but she then had to be confronted with, are you or are you not a part of the Tory Lanez team? And can you prove that you're not? What's up with these payments? What's up with this? What's up with that? You know what I mean? What's up with you and his dad? What is this brother, father-son relationship that y'all supposedly have? All of that type of stuff, right? I've seen pretty much a through line from various sources that a lot of people that were actually there weren't all that impressed with the way that first day and a half or so, the whole Milagro testimony went, because they felt like Megan's legal team was giving her too much of an opportunity to over explain or explain her so-called rationale behind the way that she's approached Megan Thee Stallion online for the last few years, right? This has been an ongoing thing for 5 years, and they already have their evidence. They already have discovery. They already have screenshots. They have videos. They have audio. They have all of these different things that they were basically bringing into the courtroom, the exhibits for the jury to have access to and to be played for them. But the common denominator that I saw is that O'Sullivan, who is one of Megan Thee Stallion's counsel, kind of gave her too much time to talk, right? Especially when you already got her dead to rights with proof. As long as you can verify that she did this, said this, did this, said this, you kind of make your point. But I think from what I've been hearing is that people felt like you're giving her too much of an opportunity, to speak. Because again, in her videos, in her live streams, in her station heads, she comes off as very brazen, very how could I say, unbecoming, very ignorant. She's eating while talking. She's very vulgar. Just a crass individual. And in court, they say that Milagro has presented herself a lot more put together. She can articulate herself very well. And based on the cloak of opinion, she was able to get a lot of stuff off in terms of, that's just how I felt. I followed the case. Even though the court found Tory Lanez guilty, I don't have to believe that. People get juries get convictions wrong every day. Like, she was able to kind of use those simple defenses the more that O'Sullivan continued to ask her additional questions. I've also heard that, during that time period, that O'Sullivan really was trying to wrap up and, get lunch and stuff like that. But the judge was actually like, nah, keep going. So I think that was also a little bit of a hurdle, was when he was actually finished with the majority of his, questioning for Milagro. He was really done. Judge like, no, we not done yet. So then he had to keep scrambling to fill for time, basically. By the time day 2, came around, there was rumblings that people in the jury were super confused, right? Because they're basically refreshing this jury of people who don't know nothing about the Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez incident. They don't know about the conviction. They don't know about the trial. They don't know about who the hell Milagro is. They're not really supposed to know who Megan Thee Stallion is, even though she's an international star. So they're getting all of this information from a previous trial thrown at them, and they're trying to stay abreast of everything. Like, who is this person? Who is this person, right? So the first couple days was a little bit, I don't want to say boring because I wasn't there, but that seemed to be somewhat of a sentiment, right? Even Megan Cuniff came out and was like, hey guys, going into next Wednesday, this trial is way too long. It should be wrapped up by Friday. What the hell are we going to be doing going into next week? Now I'm seeing new updates from Megan Cuniff, that is, that she believes that trial will probably be wrapped up, or at least questioning and all of this stuff will probably be wrapped up by Monday. She said that they're trying to, cut some loose ends. So that's also another thing. Like, Monday could be the end of all of the deliberation and all this other stuff, even though they were scheduled out until Wednesday. We'll just see. I can't say that definitively. I'm just saying what I've been seeing, right? Another big source of contention in the courtroom as it pertained to Milagro was the nature of the ballistics report that herself and DJ that don't spin prematurely put out there to the internet before it was even brought up in court, um, and trying to understand, where did y'all even get this information? How did y'all come up with this idea that there was a ballistics report that was being spoken about on this specific day, right? Y'all put it out there hours before court even started. So how were y'all privy to this information? The information of the ballistics report was sealed. It was only for the eyes of people involved in the case. Clearly, Megan Thee Stallion and her legal team didn't send you any info. So who could you have retained that information from? Both of them are playing dumb, right? They've been playing the DJ that don't spin's deposition in court. He's not revealing his sources. Same thing from Milagro. They ask her, where did you get this information from? She says, I remember having conversations with people, but I don't remember who I got it from. Very strange that you can remember having conversations with people, but you don't remember who those people were. Very interesting that, you know, you can have a 5-year campaign going against somebody, but you don't remember where you get none of your information. And she basically used the guise of, well, you know, I run a show online and people call into the show and they tip me off and give me information, and I don't know who these people are, which then also left her open to vulnerability of, well, how can you verify that these people are credible sources of information, right? Which again can fall under defamation because you're not fact checking. You're having a willful disregard for facts, and you're just putting stuff out there and harming people's reputations, or trying to harm people's reputations with reckless disregard for actual facts and presenting them as such, right? So that's also been a big issue. It was alleged that there was some sort of an admission that this information came from Tory Lanez father, Sunstar Peterson. That is not true. Megan Cuniff has also come out and debunked that idea, that theory that was floating around. There is no admission on that. One could assume that information may have been coming from Sunstar Peterson or Tory Lanez himself. But at this point in the courtroom, it has not been brought up, right? But clearly, we know Milagro, the DJ that don't spin, Aiden Ross, they are all platforms in which they are not only Tory Lanez supporters, but they have personal relationships with Tory. They have public conversations with Tory on stream and have had private conversations with Tory. It's pretty cut and dry. I'm sure the jury can at least deduce, if all of y'all are associated with this person, you probably will be getting some sort of info from this person, but I don't know what the jury is thinking, right? As a quick recap, going into day 2, I didn't know who Lajanae the Docket Diva was, but she's also out there on the ground in Florida. She's in the courtroom witnessing all of this take place. So I'm just going to do a quick refresher of her perspective in terms of this whole situation, day 2, Milagro being on the stand. Okay, so she says, day 2 of Megan and Milagro's case, Docket Diva breakdown. The defense owned today after questioning Milagro. Meg's team still hasn't delivered that one moment that locks the jury in, and Milagro's bias came through loud and clear, but she's sticking to it. Okay, and from what I've seen, Lajanae, she seems to be, she's calling it down the middle, although it does seem that she has a pro-Megan angle. But as you can see, even with that being the case, she said the defense owned the day as it pertained to day 2. So she's at least being as neutral as possible. And that's what I prefer to report on. Because again, I can't be there. So let me see what some of the updates from that were. So from her perspective, she says, 1, the theatrics. Milagro's testimony is coming off like a performance. Long dramatic pauses, over-explaining, and reading like she rehearsed it from a Tyler Perry script. Now, come on. She says the jury is feeling the acting. I am not a witness to the jury. I can't say what they felt or didn't. 2, the reactions. The gallery is confused. She'll read something that sounds like she knows Megan was hurt, then flip and distance herself in the next breath. It's throwing off the tone and the clarity. She says standing 10 toes down. Where's the next piece? Why is this shit skipping? Okay. 3, Tory Trial remix. A lot of her answers sound recycled from old Tory trial talking points. Same as evidence shown, same storyline, same energy is given rerun, but it's not a rerun because the jury is not familiar with this, so they have to hear it from her perspective for the first time to even understand why it's relevant, right? 4, standing 10 toes down. She's not budging on anything. Contradictions, depositions, direct questions. She doubles down every time, even when it clashes with earlier statements. Okay? So even if she knows that she's not completely making sense, she's running with it. She's standing on whatever her recent angle is, she's sticking with it. Even if it contradicts with things that are being played in the court. 6, overall vibe, confusion. Wait. How you go from 4 to 6? 5, pacing problem. She's talking so fast that the stenographer literally had to say slow, slow, slow. Okay? And I've seen multiple outlets that have spoken on Milagro talking fast. Okay? To where they said, hey, slow down. I believe the judge at one point said, hey, this is not a video. All right? You're not on the radio. Hey, you need to speak slowly. Let us understand you. And the court reporter has also done the same. 6, overall vibe, confusion, contradiction, performance over clarity, and a jury trying to make sense of testimony that keeps bouncing between old trials, personal commentary, and dramatic reading. Okay? So, again, that speaks to the jury being confused because they're being introduced to basically 2 trials at once. They're being introduced to the 2022 trial of Tory Lanez and all of the drama and all of the mess and all of the misinformation that was put out there during that time period and how Milagro contributed to it. And then they're also being put into this current trial, which is the ongoing harassment and ongoing narrative shaping that Milagro has done since that time period, which still ties back to that original trial and her allegiance to Team Tory Lanez. So she says this testimony feels more like a performance than a clear account, and the jury may be struggling too. This testimony feels more like you said the same thing. All right. Furthermore, she states the defense leaned hard into the chaos, the fight, the bottles, the mixed stories, the I stepped on glass. Their point, Milagro didn't invent the confusion. She commented on it. All right. So remember, the defense is Milagro's legal counsel. They're the ones trying to, ensure that she's not liable. They say, and when her own lawyer questioned her, the tone dropped. Soft voice, tired energy. She says sis is committed to her version no matter the evidence. At one point, seemed like she wanted to cry, saying, I wish I believed that Meg was shot. Okay? And again, this is a consistent piece that I've seen reported on. Bottom line, the defense has a story. The prosecution has questions that keep falling flat. No anchor, no moment. No, this is the harm. She says, but the evidence presentation still way too small for the jury. We'll continue from there. Again, I'm giving recap up until today. So then we get into yesterday. Day 3 blew the exclusive pipeline wide open. Megan versus Milagro trial. She says, 1, the entire exclusive info era was basically a rumor relay and nobody bothered to check the truth. Everybody was posting, nobody was verifying. Chaos in high definition. Again, this is pertaining to the DNA on the gun that people were saying definitively was not Tory Lanez. But again, that was misinformation. The result was inconclusive, meaning he could not be included or excluded. Okay? The DNA tweet came up again, and this time through DJ that don't spin's deposition. He tweeted info under a protective order and admitted he only deleted it because social media turned into investigators. Still claims the tweet was true even after Tory's own lawyer said it wasn't. But they're still not getting to the piece of how did you obtain information that was under a protective order for whatever reason. When asked if he coordinated with Milagro to post DNA tweet, he started laughing. Said he didn't. Also said he didn't remember how he got the exclusive that he never verified. Okay, so he got an exclusive, but he's again, these people have selective amnesia about where they're getting information from. Who would be offering an exclusive? She says, oh, you remember the tweet, but not the pipeline. Got it. Then Caesar. Okay, so they played the Caesar McDowell from Unite the People deposition on video where he rolled a blunt mid-deposition. And if y'all can remember, I actually read through quite a bit of those transcripts on this channel where he was being very dismissive, being very rude, being disrespectful. And this is somebody who works, or not even works, he owns a so-called organization meant to help people. But this is the way he acted. Acting like he barely knows Tory until that $50,000 donation popped up. Mess from start to finish. He was the CEO of a nonprofit tied to Tory. Was supposed to help Milagro get representation, but that changed. The coordination wasn't a conspiracy. It was a content pattern that spiraled beyond its intent, and the emotional fallout wasn't overstated. Megan's treatment and therapy costs alone totaled $240,000 for 1 month, and that impact is now documented in the official record. All right, and they got to that, the $240,000 off of T. Ferris taking the stand and speaking on Megan from his perspective as her manager, as her day-to-day person, her ride or die, who's been with her from the jump. He basically detailed how Megan had changed, right? The person that he had been working with since, 2018 on up. She was no longer the same person. She was always, kind of depressed, sad, lost interest in life, lost interest in being an artist to a certain degree, wasn't spending as much time in the studio. They say that he was bringing Megan, updates from Milagro, which I see some people, even the defense, were asking him, well, why did you keep bringing her the information if you knew it was going to send her into an episode or send her into, stress? Then why were you continuing to bring it to her? And he was like, well, shit, she was going to see it anyway. She might as well hear it from me. Like, let me brace you for what's going on outside, which I think makes sense. But again, some people feel like, well, if he's a confidant, if he's somebody who's supposed to be, focused on your well-being, why would he continue to present this information to you, right? So with that being stated, let's get into Megan Cuniff's report from yesterday, where jury heard Megan Thee Stallion's assailant, discussing sued streamer's legal defense. Okay? So she says jurors in Megan Thee Stallion's defamation trial on Wednesday heard Megan's imprisoned assailant discuss defending the online commentator she's suing during a prison call with the founder of a legal services agency. The call between Tory Lanez, the rapper who shot Megan in 2020, and Caesar McDowell of Unite the People included McDowell reading aloud a statement about his agency defending Milagro Cooper against Megan's lawsuit, which accuses Milagro of coordinating with Lanez to harass Megan. Why are you telling him about the press release? Asked Marie Harapetian, an associate with Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan. Of course, that is Megan's legal counsel. McDowell says, I don't remember why. Lanez asked McDowell, isn't that a conflict of interest for Unite the People to defend Milagro when he's a member of the board of directors? And if y'all can remember, we also read through those transcripts on this very channel months ago. The only conflict of interest would be if Milagro didn't know we had represented you, McDowell told Lanez. So why is it not a conflict of interest to represent both Tory and Miss Cooper? Harapetian asked. Caesar says he don't remember. Okay? So he assured Tory Lanez that there would be no conflict of interest. When asked about it in court, he also had amnesia. McDowell's testimony were presented to support Megan's claim that Milagro intentionally inflicted emotional distress on her by coordinating with Lanez. The other claims are defamation and promoting a digital altered sexual depiction in violation of Florida law enacted in 2024. And of course, when confronted with that deep fake situation, Milagro's defense for herself was, I thought it was real. Okay? Which I guess she thinks would clear her from liability because it's an altered sexual depiction. It's a deep fake. So she's trying to say, well, if y'all saying it's fake, I thought it was real, right? But there's audio literally of her discussing it possibly and most likely being fake. So when I was reading the Docket Divas report about Milagro openly contradicting herself and just doubling and tripling down, that's part of it. Now, McDowell, who was released from California prison in 2020 after serving 20 years. God damn, I didn't know that nigga was a jailbird himself. Shit. After serving 20 years, repeatedly answered, I don't remember, to basic questions such as how he started Unite the People and Lanez's involvement, including whether Lanez approves its social media posts. This nigga was down 20? Wow. This is who y'all trusted as damn. Anyway, jurors saw a website post from McDowell about Lanez donating $50,000 to Unite the People to pay others legal fees. They also saw an email McDowell's staff forwarded from him to Milagro in December 2023 with a filing from Lanez's appellate case. Okay? So this shows 2023, the involvement of Caesar McDowell's Unite the People, Tory Lanez, and Milagro. 2023. This is before Megan Thee Stallion actually filed a lawsuit against her. Do you remember Tory telling you to share his case filings with bloggers? Harapetian asked. He says, I don't remember. You needed to update Tory because he promised to help pay for any fees and costs relating to Miss Cooper's defense, correct? I don't remember, he said. You needed to update Tory because he's funding your organization, correct? I don't remember. The call between Lanez and McDowell included Lanez telling McDowell, you've got the Megan Cuniff bitch trying to make it seem like, or the Megan Cuniff lady trying to make it seem like we don't know what we're doing. Lanez said he loves being the underdogs, and if this can help us with the race, win the race, he wants to do it. Win the race. This is after his conviction. Who's Megan Cuniff? Harapetian asked. I don't remember. Megan Cuniff was a journalist writing about Tory's conviction, right? I don't remember. That's his answer to everything. Harapetian also asked if okay, so now that she's delving deeper into, the questions about her, which, hey, we're on her website. Harapetian also asked if Megan Cuniff wrote about Megan's testimony that Lanez shot her, and McDowell said he doesn't remember. Jurors later saw a rant McDowell posted on Unite the People's Instagram calling her a useful tool for Megan's lawyers and saying, I'm repeatedly wrong about what is really happening in this case. All right. So this is where they're discrediting Megan Cuniff. In another call on November 19th, McDowell tells Lanez he had to pay a Florida lawyer $5,000 to serve as a pro hoc vice sponsor for Unite the People's lawyer. Harapetian asked McDowell about Milagro testifying in a deposition that Caesar stole my money by first telling her Unite the People would represent her pro bono, then telling her I need money for your lawyer or you're not going to have a lawyer. So we have a direct call from Caesar McDowell and Tory Lanez talking about Milagro's lawyer in Florida. Interesting. Why would Miss Cooper accuse you of stealing her money? I'm sure he didn't remember that either. So then they get into T. Ferris. Megan's friend testifies about $240,000 therapy. After McDowell's deposition, Megan's friend and roommate Travis Ferris testified in person about how social media vitriol has affected her. Ferris wasn't there when Megan was shot, but he went to where they were stopped by police in Hollywood and was told she'd been taken to a hospital. He said Megan didn't immediately say Lanez had shot her because she was trying to save everybody in the car that night, which is consistent for the past 5 years. Others have blame shifted, tried to come up with other ways of spinning the situation, but the story from Megan and everybody on her team or her side have been consistent. He went with Megan to Tampa Bay, Florida after the shooting to try to recover. He'd fish in the bay from the backyard and talk with Megan about trying to get past the stress that she was dealing with at the time. He said he learned of Milagro shortly after Megan was shot in July 2020 from people sending him her posts. Jurors saw a recording from August 2022 that began with her saying, "Megan, you come from a line of alcoholics." And this is the line of harassment that she crossed. Reporting on things, that's one thing. But personal attacks, getting into people's family and trying to, I guess, attack them as well, that would be slander, which is under the name of defamation. But, that's just my opinion. Ferris said she shared the recording with Megan and she was sad, upset. Don't want to talk to me about it. Don't want to do nothing. Just be in her room, he said. Jurors saw a text Megan sent Ferris on August 30th, 2022 that said, "Nobody gives me grace and understanding. I've been shot, but somehow everyone else is a victim and I'm under consistent attack and ridicule." She mentions people on the internet and people in my real life. So she said nobody's giving her no type of grace. Right? She's the victim. She the one that got shot. But for some reason, everybody is looking at her like she's in the wrong. Like she can't do no right. Like she's constantly fucking up. "I feel like I'm always under attack," Megan wrote. Ferris responded, "Look what the Bible says about people who hate for no reason," and sent her Psalm 69:4. Megan asked Ferris in another text, "Do you think I should do the shows?" "No, if it's not going to make you feel better." Okay? So she was confiding in T. Ferris saying, "Hey, I got some shows coming up, but I'm not in a good place. Do you think I should continue?" He says, "Hey, if it ain't gonna make you feel no better, don't do the shows." Which means both of them are gonna lose out on money with her canceling it. But in support of his friend, in his words, his little sis, he's looking out for her well-being. Like, don't do the shows. Fuck the money. We'll figure it out. Ferris testified Wednesday the shows were canceled, and it wasn't the only time that happened. He said he felt powerless to help Megan. "None of my words or my Bible verses worked." Jurors saw a recording of Milagro discussing jury selection in Lane's December 2022 trial in Los Angeles, including an older black woman that looked like her ass was falling asleep, a damn Asian, and at least 2 old white ass men. She also called a prosecutor a pretty white boy who looks like a kid and said some women seemed interested in him sexually. So that was her description of the 2022 trial jurors. Now, keep in mind, Milagro also alleged that T. Ferris was Megan's handler. And also, she alleged that Megan was in a romantic relationship with Ferris And she also alleged that Ferris was in a relationship with Megan's mother while she was living, which is where Nicki Minaj took that narrative and recorded it on Bigfoot, right? We'll continue. Ferris said Megan heard the recording during trial and couldn't understand, like, what was this about? We couldn't understand, like, what this was about. Like, what is the purpose of this? Talking about the jurors? Ferris also testified about telling Megan about the digital altered sexually explicit video that Milagro promoted of Megan on social media and helping her get into a therapy center for depression. He said she was there for a month and it cost $240,000. And let's be clear, that was also documented in Megan Thee Stallion's In Her Words documentary. So there are some people out there that are trying to say, well, she should have records of the $240,000 spent. Shit, somebody should know where that money went. Well, it was also documented literally. Anyway, in cross-examination, Milagro's lawyers, Lisa and N.A. Perte, questioned Ferris about his decision to show Megan derogatory social media posts about her. Did you ever at any point suggest to Miss Pete that she should remove herself from social media? Yes, and she did, which we all know. Megan hasn't really been on social media too heavy for the last couple of years. She checks in here and there, but she's got people that help her with it now. But you continue to show her the posts that were coming in from social media regardless. Yes, Ferris answered. Ferris said he did so because she'd eventually see it from someone else, and I'm able to be a little bit more comfort. Which to me makes sense. But, to those that don't like her, they're going to say, yeah, he keeps showing you this stuff, but you're saying that it bothers you so much. Why is he doing that? Perte also questioned Ferris about Megan's alcohol use. Ferris said they drink, not when they're sad, but when they're celebrating good things. It is your testimony today that Miss Pete has never struggled with alcoholism. Is that correct? Perte asked. No, not alcoholism, Ferris answered. Perte asked if Megan was treated for alcoholism at the $240,000 per month therapy center, and Ferris said no. Perte asked if he felt the $240,000 monthly cost was reasonable. Ferris said no, but he wanted to get Megan help because I realized that I'm not a therapist. Okay? So he didn't even agree with that price point, which who would? But he said, shit, clearly I'm not as helpful as I would like to be. So we just going to have to, once again, figure it out. Roc Nation exec testifies about Megan's lost deals. Jurors also heard testimony Wednesday from an executive with Roc Nation, Megan's management company that's owned by Jay-Z, about 4 marketing deals that fell through and Megan's mounting depression. Daniel Kinney, Roc Nation's senior vice president of branding and strategic partnerships, testified Megan was set to be the first female in-game character in Activision's Call of Duty game, which would include a series of skins and charms and catchphrases unique to Megan. Kinney said Call of Duty is one of the holy grails in advertising, especially in entertainment, because so many entertainers legitimately love the game and play it all the time. And not only among entertainers, but it's one of the more popular games, just period. I have brothers, family members, friends who, man, if they have a free day, they'll play that shit morning to morning. Or at least once upon a time they would. The marketing value was worth tens of millions to us. The deal fell through when Megan realized her character was somebody that you could actually shoot in the game, and that triggered her. Okay? Because remember, Call of Duty is you going to the army. You going to shoot some shit up. And she realized, whoa, I ain't just doing the shooting. You can shoot me. Right? Because she's a playable character that people could choose and play with. So she called it off. Which I think was the best answer, as somebody who literally had been shot and had been harassed after being shot and being the butt of so many jokes online by people being insensitive. Just imagine if she was in that game, the type of content people would have made out of that. Okay. The marketing value was worth many tens of millions to us. The marketing was worth many tens of millions, as in dollars, to us. The deal fell through when Megan realized her character was somebody that you could actually shoot in the game. That triggered her. She full stop said, "I'm not going to do this. I'm not showing up tomorrow. I'm pulling out of this deal," Kenny testified. Okay. Now, Cardi B also had the opportunity to be in the Call of Duty game. And unfortunately, with her trial at the time, being tried for an old violent incident, it caused her to not be present for the photo shoot. And then that deal ended up eventually going to Nicki Minaj. We'll continue though. Kenny also testified about a $1.4 million deal for Google's Pixel phone that was to make Megan the face of a Super Bowl advertising campaign that would promote her as a top celebrity who's very in demand. So lost out on millions of dollars with Call of Duty, or millions of dollars in value from Call of Duty, $1.4 million from Google. Google was ready to send a jet to pick Megan up for filming, but Kenny said Megan wasn't available and they couldn't secure another date. So I'm guessing this time period that she wasn't available was while she was in that $240,000 program. Google basically said, if we can't shoot this by this date, we're going to move on. And because we couldn't be confirmed with them, they moved on. Okay, so she's missed out on substantial income trying to get herself right. You know what I mean? Trying to get over this depression that she was facing. Another deal involved Just Eat Takeaway, which owns Grubhub, and wanted Megan to create a song for them and star in a commercial that would air in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand, Kenny said. And I can personally attest to the Just Eats pipeline. I literally myself made a song for Just Eats. It didn't get selected, but I was in the running for it. Snoop Dogg was doing songs for Just Eats. I think Rhapsody did a Just Eats song and voiceover. So they was giving out money to hip hop artists about 2-3 years ago, left and right. Megan was set to get that opportunity. She passed on it. Kenny said the $2.6 million deal was an opportunity to build a profile in Europe. Shit. That's $4 million already, goddammit. In actual value. And then you had multiple millions in marketing value. Fuck, she lost damn near $10 million. There are very few commercial opportunities that will give you that kind of placement on commercials and billboards in multiple countries. Jurors saw an email a Just Eat representative sent Kenny asking about Megan's announcement that she was stepping back from music to heal. So they have direct emails showing that Megan is passing on this stuff, not because she just doesn't want to do it, she's out partying, or no other shit. They literally have a track record that she's stepping away from music to heal emotionally. I think that they were worried what it would mean for their campaign. Kenny said that partnership did not proceed. The final opportunities Kenny discussed was with the U.S. Women's Soccer Federation for Megan to create their official anthem. The deal was for just $60,000, but the Soccer Federation is a nonprofit organization, but the exposure is global. Women's soccer. She was supposed to do a song that was going to end up being an anthem. Kenny said the deal did not go through because Megan did not complete the song in a timely manner. She was probably still away. I was being told she was not in a good headspace. Okay? Now, I got to be all the way transparent, be all the way real. It's pretty much, The fact that we got 2 projects out of Megan last year, and just the year or two before, she was in a place where she wasn't creating at all. She's turning down $2.4 million, $60,000, $1.4 million to do all this shit. But she put out 2 albums last year. Technically, you call them mixtapes, you call them album, whatever you want. That's dope. Not dope that she lost all this fucking money though. Shit. So then they get to renowned psychologist testifies Megan has PTSD. So, okay, we have a clinical PTSD account here. So this isn't just like, people be saying, man, I got PTSD and shit. You might, but we actually have a diagnosis for Megan. The final witness on Thursday was Lenore Walker, a psychologist for 50 years and pioneer researcher on abused women. Walker diagnosed Megan with post-traumatic stress disorder after meeting with her through video and reviewing testimony from Lane's trial as well as hospital and therapy records. She watched her documentary and looked at a number of music videos to try to understand her work and how this impacted her work. She also reviewed social media posts and recordings of Milagro. Walker testified on Wednesday that one of the serious triggers for Megan is her belief that Lanes was continuing to be angry and wanted to hurt her and was using Miss Cooper to do that. It was one trigger on top of another trigger that was quite frustrating to her. Walker also reviewed Lane's cat video in which he's chopping an apparent horse leg in a butcher shop, and she saw the digitally created sexual explicit video of Megan that Milagro promoted. There was a lot of keeping it going in the media and then telling her to get over it, Walker testified. Miss Pete said she would have loved to have gotten over it. It was she just wasn't able to do that. She said Megan's PTSD originated from being shot and has merged with her trauma over cyberbullying. Just recently, she told me that it's still very hard for her to create, even though she does still go out and perform. Milagro's lawyer, Natasha Bien-Aim, a licensed lawyer in Florida since 2019 for 7 years, cross-examined Walker, who has testified in thousands of trials over several decades. She first asked how much Walker is being paid. She's received about $24,000 and will be paid $5,000 per day in court. Ben-Aimi also emphasized that Walker met with Megan virtually from her office in South Florida. Walker said she observed Megan's body language. You would agree that it would be better in person versus on computer screens, right? Her answer was not always. Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. Walker dismissed Ben-Aimei's suggestion that someone else could have been in the room with Megan because someone being quiet for that long is hard for anybody to do. Ben-Aimei asked if Megan selected the videos Walker reviewed, and Walker said, no, actually, some of my staff are young people and they knew her videos and they picked out several videos they wanted me to look at. Ben-Aimei also questioned Walker about Megan's feud with rapper Nicki Minaj to try to show that she had other problems that could be upsetting her. Okay, so the therapist is now being asked about the beef with Nicki Minaj. Do you know that a diss track is a song that insults, disrespects, or verbally attacks another person? No, Walker asked. Ben-Aimei also asked about Megan's ex-boyfriend writing a diss track about her. Walker said she didn't know of it and added, I wouldn't want anyone to interview my ex-boyfriends. Okay, so I've seen some talk about the therapist and how basically Megan never talked to her about Nicki. Some people are trying to read into that in a certain way, like, well, if Milagro is talking bad about you, but you have a beef with Nicki Minaj, then why is the beef with Nicki Minaj not also stressing you out? Why is that not being reported on or being recorded in your calls with this therapist? I can't speak for Megan Thee Stallion, but it seems to me, the thing with Megan, like I can deal with my peers. I could deal with music industry shit. I'm built for that, right? But you got this motherfucker over here who's building a name off of shitting on me daily, discrediting me, my family, everybody that's around me, discrediting everything that I do. They're being paid specifically off of shitting on me. They were present at the trial of my shooting, discrediting me even back then, and being courted by the family of the person who shot me. I don't think that measures up to Nicki Minaj. People also have done the same thing regarding Joe Budden. People have also done the same thing regarding the DJ that don't spin. And the thing that Milagro does not have in common with them is that they, at a certain point, don't talk about Megan. They may disagree with Megan. They may not like her. They may not like her music. They may state that, but they don't harp on it. They don't make threats to her. They didn't spread the deep fake video of some fake ass sex tape. So she earned this. Thursday's testimony. Megan began testifying Thursday afternoon. Jurors also heard testimony. Milagro's former live stream moderator, Emil Holland Briggs, also known as King Noir. I'm going to get into him in just a moment. So again, Megan Cuniff, she says trial is in abrupt recess after Milagro's former moderator, Emil Holland Briggs, a.k.a. King Noir, began sobbing on the witness stand as he testified about his decision to quit amid mounting disagreement over Milagro's approach. Now, he and Milagro are former friends, and he also worked as a moderator for her, okay? And eventually, he tapped out. Holland Briggs was testifying about all the awful stuff going on online when he broke down sobbing on the stand. He said people were talking about unaliving themselves, and it just weighed me down. So I guess it was all fun and games up until he had heard about Megan Thee Stallion ideating thoughts of suicide. And he was like, nah, I can't do this. A quote, I tried. He choked up and put his face in his hands and wept. The judge gave the security officer tissues to give him as Megan's lawyers took him tissues too. Holland Briggs turned in his chair and with his back to the gallery began sobbing audibly as Judge Altanega called a break. I've seen multiple accounts of this tearful breakdown on the stand. She says, by the way, appears Megan's Quinn Emanuel lawyers got memo that they don't need to make this trial more than a man shot a woman, and his foul-mouthed proxy has been harassing her about it for years because John O'Sullivan told Judge Altanega they must rest their case as early as today with closing arguments tomorrow. She says, I don't think closings will be tomorrow because Judge said something about a juror needing to be off tomorrow afternoon. Sheesh. Attorneys wanted to dismiss her, but Judge said they'll do a short day tomorrow and return on Monday. So they wanted to conclude shit today. But no. Some of the cross from Milagro's lawyer to her former moderator was about trying to show he had a falling out with Milagro over her exposing his romantic relationship online. Like it's super helpful to Milagro to have the jurors hear about her cyberbullying this guy too. You understand fighting a case for cyberbullying and harassment. We got a motherfucking witness that worked with you, used to be cool with you, that says, yes, I can attest to the cyberbullying. You get Milagro's lawyer that says, well, didn't y'all fall out because Milagro exposed your romantic relationship online? Yes. She cyberbullied me too. She harassed me too. Good job, defense. She continues. The trial is on a 10-minute break. The witness right now is Sean McDermott of FTI Consulting, who is detailing all the deleted texts in Milagro's phone. Remember, FTI Consulting is the data analysis company that came in to do the forensic audits on Milagro's phone. They were the ones who found the deleted texts. They found the deleted WhatsApp. They were trying to get the Discord info from her, which she persuade. No, I won't say persuaded, but she evaded. Excuse me. And you know, the jury's going to be told at the end of this about you know the deleting being against the court order, right? She's gonna have to pay sanctions for that, and they're also being informed that because she deleted these texts after being informed not to, that they're to assume that those texts would have been favorable to Megan Thee Stallion. Same thing with Tory Lanez and his refusal to cooperate in his deposition. Okay, we are on lunch break. After seeing about 7 minutes of deposition clips from Tory Lanez in prison, the purpose appears to have been to show jurors how combative he was and how he refused to answer questions about Milagro. The biggest stuff this morning was definitely Milagro's former moderator's testimony that was devastating for the defense. We also saw clips from Lane's father's deposition. Sunstar Peterson preached in the beginning and declared the presence of Jesus Christ in the room. I'm eating lunch right now and feeling relieved that we apparently won't have to see any Depo clips from Aiden Ross now that Quinn realized they need to trim the fat. One thing sorely missing from this trial is any mention of Milagro riling up the internet after Lanez was convicted by saying the RM on Lane's jail roster listing meant his felony convictions were being reduced to misdemeanors when RM actually means he was remanded to jail. Damn. Even getting into Armand Wiggins' coverage of the trial today, he says, "Child, Milagro's former moderator, Nora King, had a complete meltdown on the stand so bad we had to take 5-minute break. Milagro's former moderator and friend, King Noir, testified that Milagro Cooper would have her people dox and look up addresses on YouTubers, Armand Wiggins, Tasha K, and Storm Monroe." Okay? So King Noir said Milagro been out here doxing people. Milagro Cooper, former moderator, testified that he reached out to Armand Wiggins, but he felt that he had too many messages, so he deleted the message. He then gets into Megan today on the stand, because she also took the stand. Says Megan just wrapped up her testimony. Unless Milagro's team can pull a miracle during the cross-examination, Milagro is cooked. Megan says Milagro and the DJ that don't spin are both two people that have been targeting her for Tory Lanez. Megan testified that Milagro had her to a point where she didn't even care about being alive. Megan threw slight shade at Joe Budden when asked why she didn't have the same smoke for him as she has for Milagro. She says Joe Budden was a famous rapper with one of the biggest songs ever, now is a podcaster, and only has 1 million followers, but he is already established and Milagro is building fame off of Megan hate. And again, he ain't went as far as Milagro. Megan testified that Milagro Cooper is a stalker. Yes, Megan was crying. Milagro's defense pulled up a clip of her that the Shade Room posted in an attempt to show that other blogs post things that could be considered negative about Megan Thee Stallion. She agreed that it's a negative platform, and Milagro's attorney asked Meg if Milagro ran the Shade Room, and she responded, "I don't know," and laughed. Clearly, she doesn't. Megan Thee Stallion got annoyed when Milagro's team brought Nicki Minaj up. "Why do y'all keep bringing this lady up? I feel like y'all keep doing this because y'all want people to write this down and post about it on Twitter so it can go viral, because that's the type of stuff your client likes." She said, "Don't ask me about no motherfucking Nicki Minaj." Getting back to Megan Cuniff's account of these events, she says Megan Thee Stallion testified for about an hour and 45 minutes this afternoon. They were on a quick break at the time. "Everybody thought that I deserved to get shot because I talk about sex and I twerk and I drink." That is a direct quote from Megan. She says because she raps about sex and she is a sex symbol and she may, drink, they use that as a justification as to why she should have been shot. Very disgusting, but I can attest to that. There's people that come in the comments of my videos that use that very same rhetoric. It is insane. It is disgusting. It is deplorable, and it's definitely an indication of these people's mental health. But there's people out there that think that way. I had a really good childhood, Megan said. My mom and my dad loved me a lot, and I had the support from my great grandma and my grandma. Everybody's just super supportive and super loving. Megan testified about everything, Lane shooting her, all the social media, the trial, realizing it wasn't going away, even though Lanes had been convicted. Megan needed to get in the courtroom, so she wasn't able to give a full account of what was going on, but I'm just trying to give y'all different perspectives, right? There's a lot of Megan Cuniff here. We just went through some Armand Wiggins. We had the docket diva. I had never heard of her until this trial. But I'm trying to give perspectives of multiple people that are actually in attendance, because I'm not. And although not everybody may fall on the same side of the spectrum as in, agreement, the reporting is actually kind of consistent. There are some inconsistencies here and there, but the through line is pretty standard. Here we have video from Megan Cuniff outside the courtroom as Megan Thee Stallion is leaving. Okay? Somebody asked what she wants other bloggers to know about their behavior online. Megan says, just because you have freedom of speech does not mean you have freedom to bully. She will continue testifying tomorrow.
Megan, what do you want other bloggers to know about their behavior online?
Just because you have freedom of speech, that does not mean you have freedom to bully.
That's right.
Girl, music video back on YouTube.
We love you.
No.
Take care of yourself. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Megan, what do you want?
All right. So that is Megan Thee Stallion leaving the courthouse. It is wrapped for the day. And I'm sure others that were in attendance will give more in-depth accounts of what took place during Megan's testimony. Of course, I'm reporting from the crib, so I ain't got all that for you. So y'all be good, all right? Now, at the end of that, the video when Megan's entering her car, you heard somebody say, something about getting the Lover Girl music video back on YouTube. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's been removed. I don't know if it was set on private or unlisted or something, which I think is the case. I don't think it was deleted. But there is something about copyright from someone who also sampled Kissing You by Total. Okay? Some weird artist from New Orleans has filed a copyright claim on Megan's Lover Girl video. Not on the behind the scenes, not on the official audio, only on the music video. I'm sure the music video ain't gonna be down for long, but I'm trying to understand why this nigga tried it. So for people that actually have the link to the music video, they're saying that this is what it comes up. This video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Jeremy E. Tassin Sr. This Megan fan page says, it's Jeremy E. Tassin fault. Hope her team fix this ASAP. And we have another update here from the Songbird that says his name is Lucky Lou on Spotify and YouTube. He has a song sampling Kissing You, but nothing else is similar to the song. And his song came out in 2024. But I'm willing to bet if there is a real deal copyright issue, he's going to get himself in a world of trouble, because I'm pretty sure he probably didn't get the sample cleared by Total. I'm sure he didn't go through the proper process to get all the writers and the rights holders to sign off on his Kissing You song being out, and for him to put out a copyright claim on an artist that actually went through the proper process of clearing the sample, to where they're even on stage using her track to intro their original song, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt, sir. So if nobody else told you, you might want to drop this shit before it get painful. And when I say painful, I'm talking about your pockets, not your physical, all right? Just being very clear. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. I will be catching y'all on the next one, man. Y'all be good out there. Be sure to like, subscribe, hype the video. We need people to tune in. I'll see y'all later, though. Peace. Family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'm never politicking, the drama be piling on. Father and greats unacknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts, every day I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your healthcare. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The sympathy cause consulting for the stacks I built. I had